All right, we're back to technology right now, and IPO48 is something you need to know about. I'm now joined by Kresten Buch. I'm sure I'm not saying it right. CEO of Human IPO. How do I pronounce your name? And
Kresten Buch.
Kresten Buch. Yeah. I tried.
Yeah.
What is Human IPO?
Human IPO is the short version is it's like Facebook for startups.
Right.
So it's a place where entrepreneurs can upload their startup ideas and engage mentors and professionals and investors online,
right,
where they can collaborate. So it's a way for entrepreneurs to get in contact with business professionals and investors.
It's what do you like to call a web and mobile bootcamp?
Yeah, well, so to get Human IPO off the ground, to test it, we are doing an event called IPO48.
Yes.
Where a lot of startups this time 60 startups has online posted their ideas, and they work closely with mentors for 60 days before we actually come to the real event. So their business plans and their ideas are more mature. Online they have found maybe co-founders, potential employees, and when they then come to the 48-hour booth, no checking out.
You're definitely going to invest on one of them.
There will be one investment before 12 o'clock on Sunday.
How did you arrive at the 60 finalists?
Well, there were 60 who was applying.
Right.
Then the platform, we can see the debate between the investors and the entrepreneurs and the professionals. And from looking at how people actually engage, by looking at how they debate, you get a better insight to how the entrepreneurs think. So we make the process transparent, and by looking at that, we have picked the 13 participants.
So what happens this 48 hours, which is where you come from 60 to 1?
Yeah, well, actually it's 13 who goes into the 48-hour physical event.
Yes.
There we want to work with the entrepreneurs. We want to see help them do business model, business planning, but work with them in the 48 hours. So it's very much like working with them, and by working with them again, we see who are they, we get to know them, and it's from that interaction that the investors at the IPO, we pick the winner.
Everybody likes to become the next Facebook or Google, so there's a lot of people with the briefcase tech companies, as it were. So how do you make sure that you arrive at the doers and not the talkers?
A lot of these events are pitching events where it's all controlled, you have 5-minute pitch, and then investors are sitting and looking. But again, here, by that we are working with the teams, we're debating heavily with the teams, means that it's difficult to hide if you don't know what you're talking about.
Right.
So that's, I mean, in a job interview, that feedback is where you get a sense of who the person are. Mm-hmm. And that's what it's about. It's about the person more than actually the idea. And so I like to work with the teams, and that's where I make my decision from.
Why are you doing this in Kenya?
Well, originally the idea was actually meant for Europe, but I met the former COO of Kenya Data Network, David Ovino,
right,
at a course at Stanford University, and he told me about Kenya and mobile money, and as like the European market is very saturated, I came down here and I liked what I saw. Really great entrepreneurs with great passion, and really interesting market with the telcos and mobile money. So I think there's a great potential here. So yeah, I've gathered 10 serial entrepreneurs in this investment company, and we're going to make, hopefully before Wednesday, we've made it 3 investments, but we're going to make 10 in the next 12 months in Kenya.
And how much investment are we talking about here?
Yeah, we want to close. We're not doing normal VC investments of minimum $200,000, $300,000. We're doing $20,000 to $60,000. So we are bridging the gap. So it's very, very early stage. And the model we are using is we're bringing in serial entrepreneurs from Europe. And it's a bit like if you're familiar with the Y Combinator and these accelerator models, where it's not only the money, but it's also the mentoring, the network that we bring to the entrepreneurs. And we are all entrepreneurs ourselves. So we feel that we can really benefit very early stage entrepreneurs.
All right, we'll be back with you. Just need to quickly update our viewers just in the last few minutes. George Ladwa, the incumbent, has won the mayoral election here in the Nairobi City Council, not too far from where we are. Once again, we're just learning that George Ladwa, who has been acting Nairobi mayor, has won the mayoral election. That has been and the election has been going on at City Hall about a few meters from where we are, and we'll bring you more details, obviously, in our next hour on NTV News at 1. We're back with Kresten Buch, who is CEO of a human IPO. What is your sense? You've already touched on this, but I just need a general feeling. What is your sense of the tech scene in Kenya? We have M-Pesa, which is very successful. We also have Ushahidi that has won global acclaim, but there's small people doing small things around here. What is your sense of this scene?
Yeah, I mean, what I've seen is there's a lot right now who's doing something around mobile money, like these mobile money aggregators. And I think they will empower in the next step who will be very, very strong in e-commerce, I think, because the money will enable this e-commerce far better than in Europe and the US, because where there it's the money transaction that's the big problem. So I think that I will be looking at, if I was a Kenyan entrepreneur,
right.
I would be more looking at like Eastern African market. Don't be so concerned about trying to build a startup that also goes to the US and Europe. I mean, even like Google is not in Asia, just because even the big players cannot be in all the markets. So I would say, you know, you have great growth opportunity in Eastern Africa, focus and just capture this market, be the first here. And I mean, a market of 300 million people is enough. And that's why I'm here, and so I'm looking at East Africa. I'm not looking in Europe or in the US.
Do you see a strong focus on mobile? Because the majority of Africans access the internet on their mobile phones, and this is really an important tool. So increasingly, do you see entrepreneurs trying to build mobile solutions as opposed to web or some other fancy products?
Yeah, I mean, when I started in '97 in Denmark, I mean, internet was above mobile. Here it's the other way around.
Right.
So the question is, will internet actually kind of catch up? And I think that it will be mobile, and then it will be tablets like who will dominate. You know, you might not even see the small PCs really penetrate deeply. It might be, you know, smartphones and tablets that will dominate. So I definitely think that entrepreneurs should be looking at these devices when developing.
All right. Why is it that African entrepreneurs, especially coming out of Kenya, and I've spoken to a lot of them, find it very hard to convince VCs to put money inside, to convince angel investors that I have a brilliant idea that needs funding so that it can be scalable?
Yeah, I think in all places it's really hard. It's very hard.
It's not just here.
No, it's also really hard in Europe. I think what Silicon Valley has is it has some successful people, let's say, for instance, the Googlers, people who have worked on Google, have invested in 230 startups.
Right.
So there's young people in Silicon Valley that has money and understands the space, and they are not afraid of going in and investing very early stage, where maybe in Africa and in Europe, you don't have these young, successful serial entrepreneurs who wants to go in really early and help the startups.
But that said, can we, out of Africa, get a company that will be able to claim its space on a global scale in terms of provide a service or give a solution that nobody else has come up with, and then be able to be a commercial success?
I mean, it's hard to predict how this mobile money. I mean, you have an advantage in this mobile money is developing, so there might be applications that work really well with this mobile money that doesn't work in Europe, and if Europe somehow catch up to this mobile money, then okay, maybe this company will be in a good position to advance into Europe or the US. But again, as I say, I don't think that this should be the success criteria that African entrepreneurs are looking after. It should be, you know, East Africa is a very interesting market. I mean, in Denmark we have 5 million people, and entrepreneurs are actually producing products for 5 million people. But here you have a massive market. So
give us the exact details about IPO48. Where is it? Who can come? And
it's a very closed event. People have to go through this process of uploading their startups. So it's for these 13 startups, and for mentors, it's at the iHub. It starts at Friday. People will actually online on our platform be able to follow the teams. They will upload their progress, their business plans, so people can follow them, and they can also write to them and help them. The platform is also about people who are interested in startup, and new startup can go in, and participate and say, look at this, look at that, or I'm interested in your product. So we can encourage all your viewers to go in and check out what's going on online.
Is it open to the public?
Open, yeah, online is open to the public, but
the iHub where the IPO48
it's quite limited space, so I don't think that there's so many people who can fit in there. So,
all right, Kresten Buch, many thanks for coming in, and I look forward to seeing which entrepreneur will finally make it to that one you invest in.
Yeah,
okay.
Thank you for being here.